Welcome to GCAP. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners and custodians of the land, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and pay my respects to their elders past and present. And I'd also like to extend that respect to all the Indigenous Australians here today. I love this industry and I love this country and I love what's been built here. I honestly believe that there is no better place in the world right now to be making games than in Australia. And I don't think there's any better place in Australia to be making games than right here in this room right now. To all of our friends, it's a delight to see you again, a year older, a year wiser, refreshed and renewed, I hope. And to our guests, I say welcome. Our home is your home. I hope you love it as much as I do. And I thank you for the opportunity to see further through seeing through your eyes and your words and your thoughts over the course of this show. We have seen a small representation of the history of Australia, and I welcome you to all take part in writing our future histories. Now, I'd like to introduce the Minister for Creative Arts, Martin Foley.
I thank you very much, Morgan, and could I too begin by acknowledging that we meet here on the traditional lands of the Kulin Nation and pay my respects to elders past and present, and as Morgan did, particularly acknowledge the Wurundjeri and their close cousins, the Bunurong, and pay my respects to elders of that community. Could I acknowledge Anthony Reid, the CEO of the Games Developers Association of Australia, Morgan, all of our international visitors, and particularly all of our game developers from what is very much a global community. I did very much appreciate that video, not just because I'm the reigning Victorian parliamentary champion of Crossy Roads, but because also I did notice in there was the escape from Woomera, and given, frankly, continued appalling events that are carried out in our name on Manus and Nauru, perhaps we could have an escape from Manus and Nauru, and perhaps we could reflect on the fact that on those places there might well now be a young kid who one day might be the next great game developer, and that if abhorrent plans to ban that kid from ever participating in Australian life, ever, under any circumstances into the future, go ahead. What a curse that would be on the communitarian culture that we've seen develop over game and game developers' cultures, not just here in Australia, but I think globally. Can I pay particular acknowledgement to all the organisers and all the supporters who have put on this fantastic conference. And I just wanted to just reflect very briefly on the good work and the support that GCAP has brought to us here. For those visiting Melbourne, welcome to the Games capital of Australia, particularly on Australia Cup Day. And whilst it's a race that stops a nation, it clearly isn't going to stop GCAP. Because, of course, GCAP is now our premier games development conference, and it's an anchor of the important Melbourne International Games Week program, which the Victorian Government is so pleased to support. Vitally, it's that opportunity for all of us to network, to collaborate, and to share thoughts and ideas. It is a true democratic strength of the games development sector that you're able to get together in such a collegiate and supportive way and bounce around the future ideas on the shoulders of giants to write your own future, as Morgan pointed out. And we are very proud that this year's event is hosted here in Melbourne. For more than 30 years, Victoria has led this games development sector, growing the talent pool, driving the education, building the innovation, and more importantly, seeing successful businesses emerge. We have seen it diversify and we've seen it boom. Today, Victoria's game developers are amongst the best in the world, and you are a key part of Victoria's $23 billion diverse creative economy. GCAP's theme this year, the shoulder of giants, speaks to that tenacity and that evolution of how respect and learning from what has gone before us, but with a broad vision and a clear path to an even brighter future. It's especially relevant right here in Victoria because we play home to almost half of Australia's digital game industry right here. And that notion that's reflected in this year's theme, that our achievements are not ours alone, but that we build on the collective efforts of those before us, is really central to the path ahead for this sector. I think it's a fitting metaphor for our games industry here in Victoria and Australia. Our industry's international reputation for that collaborative and supportive approach, for acknowledging the work of pioneering studios who have come before us while building our own future, is testimony to this. It's also a reminder of the giants of the industry that we are seeking to stand on those shoulders to get a better vantage point of the so many opportunities that await us ahead. We've seen, for instance, EA Fire Monkeys, which I had the pleasure of catching up with at their new place just up the road, and their setup. We've seen the recognised strength of mobile games sector having set up and grown here. And this week we've seen Gree opening its studios here in Melbourne. So this GCAP conference has been a place where many of those important connections are made. In fact, I'm advised that this is where the Hipster Whale team first got together way back in 2013. And on that basis, it's those informal partnerships, collaborations and opportunities that emerge from these kind of gatherings that are the real value that you actually can't put a price on. And that's why I'm sure that this year we'll see many more important connections, important partnerships and valuable collaborations forged. And that together, by standing on the shoulders of one another and those that have gone before us, that we will attain even greater heights. The Andrews State Government is committed to supporting events like GCAP and the Melbourne International Games Week that promote the capabilities and the opportunities of Australia's game development industry, and we want to help drive that future of the sector and build its innovation future. I want to congratulate Anthony and the whole team associated with the conference, the team of contributors who have put forward this program for this year's conference. It really is that grassroots, democratic, community-driven event that's focused on the needs of the local industry, but clearly set against a global context. It's participatory, it's bold, and it's collaborative. And I think you'll be hearing from some amazing leaders in the field who will share their knowledge and their insights over the next few days. Enjoy this provocative, creative, and stimulating sessions that only GCAP can deliver. Today is often known for hosting that race that stops a nation, but as we've seen here today, nothing is going to stop GCAP. And I have great pleasure in declaring GCAP 2016 officially open. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister Foley, for your powerful speech. That's really hard to follow. Hi, I'm Kamina Vincent, and I am a giant. I'm going to blame Tony for that sentence. But clearly, look at me, look upon my height, ye mighty, and despair. Anyway, so on Sunday morning, as I was mildly panicking about all I had to do, including writing this speech, I was chatting with a friend who has just walked out. Everyone, Tony Reid was a friend. And we were passing messages of support. So, of course, I sent the tiny potato, which, yeah, everyone knows that, right? Cool. So until Sunday morning, this was just a message of support. I tell you I'm a tiny potato. I'm telling you I believe in you. It's as simple as that, because we all need a little bit of that support. It's important. We're social creatures, after all. But on Sunday morning, ooh, I'm doing funny things. Anyway, on Sunday morning, thinking about this speech and tiny potatoes, I realised something. This confidence that other people have in me has also pushed me to do more. Someone telling me that they believe in me has motivated me to do things I doubted I could achieve. The people around us encourage us to reach for more than we believe ourselves capable. So without my giants, without support, I could not have achieved what I have and achieve what I will. Times when I'm feeling burnt out, when I'm stressed, overwhelmed. times when I didn't think I had the experience necessary, when I thought something was a bit overwhelming, when I've been unsure. The people around me have supported me, whether it's a simple hug, a heart emoji sent, a thank you for doing the company taxes. Everything is worthwhile and doubly worth the effort. I am Kamina, Glitter Fairy, and with the support of the shoulders of giants, past, present, and future, I am capable of so much. So thank you, everyone, for all the little things you do, and all the big things, because we are a community, and together we can achieve greater things than we could if we all stood alone. And speaking of not standing alone, we'd like to thank the sponsors. So, nice, right? Without you, it wouldn't be possible to hold this amazing conference, so we can stand on each other's shoulders. So please thank our premium sponsors, Creative Victoria and Epic Games. And our gold sponsors. Hipster Whale, EA Fire Monkeys, Film Victoria, Green Melbourne, Screen Queensland, Indie Plus, and Yodo One. And our silver sponsors. Mighty Games, Autodesk. I got confused. Big Ant and LDB. And our bronze sponsors, GitHub, Kaiju Golden Axe, and Ad Colony. So thank you, sponsors. Now, I'm really excited to introduce our first keynote speaker, a giant in so many ways, writer of almost all of the Assassin's Creed's series, Batman, Arkham Origins, several Prince of Persia games, and of course, Happy Feet 2, Eric's Adventure. Nominated and winner of Outstanding Achievement in Video Game Writing from the Writers Guild of America, please welcome Corey May.
There we go. So making a game is like playing a game. You've got an objective, a motivation, challenges and obstacles in your way. It takes a really long time. It can get really complicated, like really, really complicated. Sometimes you're going to suffer crushing defeats, but other times inspiring victories. You may develop a nemesis, get stumped by difficult puzzles, temporarily lose your mind. In other words, making a game is an adventure. And today I'm going to give you some practical advice on how to hopefully maybe survive it. So when Tony first told me the theme of this year's conference, it conjured an image in my head. I saw a picturesque valley filled with these great monuments, these great works, and they were monuments to successful games past. And standing next to them were their creators, giants in the field. Ahead, the valley sloped upwards towards a hill. And over the hill, I assumed there was another valley. It looked like this. But this one was empty. It was a blank canvas on which others would erect their own great works and become giants in their own right. By climbing one of the giants, I thought someone might be able to catch a glimpse of what lay ahead, so they could chart their course and make their own great work. But as I imagined the climber scaling the giant, I started to get nervous. And when I looked out over the horizon, I understood why. Perched on the giant's shoulders and looking out into the distance, there was no pleasant revelation. There was no oasis, no picturesque valley filled with 90+ Metacritic scores, 10 million+ sales, no guarantee success. What I saw instead was this. It was a great swirling fog, and it was filled with terrible, terrible things. Things like focus groups, or out-of-touch executives, cynical coworkers, angry forum posters, broken builds, crappy playtest results, and probably most importantly, crippling self-doubt. Fog goblins is what I call them, looking to ruin your day. And so in that moment, I thought to stand on the shoulder of the giant was to gaze into the abyss, and that never ends well. But then I remembered I'd been up here at least a dozen times before. I'd seen all these same horrible things a dozen times before. And a dozen times before, I'd climbed down from the giant, and I'd gone straight into the fog. And sometimes I followed the giant in, sometimes the giant followed me, But the important thing was that each time we went off together, and we were joined by others on the way. So the first rule of surviving production is to not go it alone. In the real world, a lot like the virtual ones, companions are going to make your life not just easier, but ideally more entertaining and more rewarding. You need to surround yourself with people who you trust and respect. And while it's even better if they're friends, it's not required. I've worked with a lot of people that I don't see socially, but I respect them immensely, trust them completely, and would do anything for them. So you don't have to like someone to respect them, but it helps. On the flip side, you can love someone dearly. You can think they're the most amazing person in the world, spend, countless nights with them, having the greatest time ever, but they can't come along with you. They're just not right for the group. And it can be heartbreaking, but it happens, so be ready for it. You won't always have a say in who you get to work with, but you do get to decide who you're going to emotionally invest in. They don't have to be on your team either. Just make sure you have people you can turn to and talk to. I assume quite a few of you are maybe engaged in independent game development, so you may be going it on your own. So you may not have a team, but hopefully you have family and friends and mentors and other people that you can call on, because making games, even on a giant team, can be intensely lonely. And if you don't have someone that you can talk to, that you can open up to, it can become a very difficult and not always pleasant experience. So find people, absolutely find people. So ideally, you do have people that you can call allies, people whose opinions you value and trust, people who have your back when things get rough, people you can celebrate with when things go well. But before you head out on this adventure into the fog, you need to know how to communicate with them. Because communication breakdowns are the single biggest source of trouble on any production. So if you love the people on the team that you're working on, like I hope you do, listen to them. They may not always tell you what you want to hear. It may hurt to hear what they have to say. But if you can divorce yourself from the moment and look at where they're coming from, the project's going to be better for it, even if your ego isn't. This probably sounds like really straightforward advice. I wish it was, but it's absolutely not. You're going to constantly encounter people that don't listen, who don't want to take feedback. They might do it passive-aggressively, they'll smile, they'll nod, and then not do a single thing that you discussed. And other people can get downright nasty, very defensive, absolutely refusing to have anything to do with what you have to say. These are not people you want in your party. You won't always have a say in this, unfortunately. But you do have control over the kind of person you are and the way that you communicate with people. So don't be that person. If you disagree with feedback, don't get angry, don't shut down, say something. Have a conversation and find a solution. Here's something else to consider. If someone has a great idea, they're not going to pull this kind of crap. They're going to respond like an adult when you challenge them. Like my idol, Alicia Floyd. They're going to passionately explain why they're right and you're not. This can be magical, and I live for these moments. My art director on the project I'm working on right now and I get into it on a daily basis, to the point where people think we're enemies. We're actually best of friends. He's my favorite person. He keeps me grounded. He calls me out of my bullshit. I do the same thing to him. So there's a difference, right? There's a difference between defending your work and what you believe in and being defensive. So don't be defensive, but definitely defend what you believe in. Work with people when they challenge you to clarify things rather than necessarily change them. If they're passionate about an idea, there's a good reason for it usually. Chances are there's something there, and they just need a little more refinement or some restructuring. So listen to your allies and make sure they're listening to you. If there's a disagreement, don't shut down. Talk it out. Find common ground. Now, at the same time, I want to be really clear. I'm not saying that all feedback is created equal and you shouldn't just be blindly saying yes or expecting other people to blindly be saying yes. There's such a thing as too much feedback, or feedback born of a misunderstanding, or feedback coming from someone who has no idea what they're talking about. And so I spend a lot of my days analyzing and managing feedback, because as a writer, everyone has something to share. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So I need to figure out what's good and valuable and helpful, because honestly, quite a bit of it is. And then I have to look again and make sure I'm not discounting something because it hurt my feelings or I'm married to something that sucks, which can also be really hard. It's hard, and it's never going to get easier, at least for me. Maybe you guys will have a better experience. And you can say that all feedback is subjective anyway, but I do think that the ability to manage it is essential to making something great. Be open to what people have to say, even when it hurts to hear it. Surround yourself with people who do the same. If you can't be open and honest with each other, you're doomed before you've even set out on your journey. And a handy way to remember this is when in doubt, talk it out. All right, you've assembled your party, you found a way to communicate, but you're headed into the great unknown. The road ahead is going to be really long and uncertain and unpredictable and sometimes dangerous. You're going to get lost if you don't have something to hang on to as your group charts its course. So if you'll allow me another game metaphor, follow your map. Practically speaking, this means have a vision, understand the vision, support the vision. And again, I'm saying something that sounds so obvious, and you're like, why is he up here telling me the most obvious thing in the world? The minute production starts, you are going to forget everything I just said. Everything. You're going to be stuck putting out a fire on production. You're going to be dealing with crappy office politics. You're going to be consumed by anxiety. And you're going to forget, I swear to God, you're going to forget. So this is my suggestion. Write it on a Post-it note. Write, have a vision, understand the vision, support the vision. And then take the Post-it notes and put them on your computer. I'm actually seriously, and I thought about this while I was working on the speech, I'm doing this when I get back to the office. Because I've been making games for 13 years, and I forget this every day. And it's terrible. So depending on your position on a team, what this means practically is a little bit different. If you're heading up a creative endeavor, make sure you have a vision and you're clearly communicating it to the entire team. If you're part of a team focused on executing someone else's vision, everything you do needs to be in support of that vision. If you can't do this, then the project and the team is probably not right for you, and you may want to consider committing to a different party or going your own way. So now you've got your party, you've worked out a communication plan, you've got a map, and it's time to go. But before you do, I want to warn you about a couple of things. I'm not going to bother with the obvious challenges and obstacles that you encounter during production. I want to talk about some hidden ones. There's 3 of them: quicksand, alchemists, and oracles. So I want to talk about quicksand first. Quicksand sucks. You're going along, everything's fine, and then you get stuck in it. It's not a big deal. You'll work your way out. For some reason, as you try and get out of it, it only gets worse. And you sink deeper, and you start to struggle some more. And now suddenly it's up to your neck. And so now you're getting nervous and you're panicking, and then it's in your mouth, and it's in your lungs, and then suddenly you're dead. Applied to production, what I'm actually saying is don't overthink things and don't drown in self-doubt. It's so easy to find problems with a project, to question decisions, to suggest other options. This kills the project. Analysis paralysis, looking for reasons to say no, or my favorite is when someone takes a job with the logic police and has a question about everything. Oh, this castle that you're building, where did the concrete come from? How do they get food into it? Who fucking cares? It's death by 1,000 cuts, it's meetings, it's brainstorms, it's the dreaded word refactoring. New takes. I've seen projects that have 4 years for production and they get done in 6 months because people spent the previous 3.5 years questioning, restarting, arguing, overthinking things. I promise you that the product of 4 years of intense execution on a vision, even if it's not the perfect vision, whatever the hell that is going to be better than whatever you cobble together in those last 6 months. And here's the kicker, that amazing, perfect idea that it took you 3.5 years to come up with, you just knocked the game out in 6 months. And so I bet you're just gonna have a lot of issues. So commit early and remain committed. You have to be okay with that. It's scary and it's uncertain, and you're gonna get 1,000 different opinions about 1,000 different directions and possibilities. You're gonna be questioned, you're gonna question yourself. Self-doubt's normal, it's part of the process. It's okay to be afraid. Recognize it, embrace it, and then move past it. If you don't, you're going into the quicksand and you're going to drown in self-doubt. So we talked about quicksand, great. Now let's talk about alchemists, and when I say let's talk about them, I mean watch out for them. They are bad, bad news. There's a tendency these days to suggest there's a right way to make a game and a wrong way. You'll hear it when people talk about how there should or shouldn't be cutscenes, how walking simulators are or aren't games, how procedural generation is good or isn't. It's ridiculous. It's all nonsense. There's no such thing as the right kind of game. Don't let anyone tell you that there is. If they do, run away from them. More importantly, this gets applied to like crafts, right? So it's not just there's a right way to make a game now or a right kind of game to make. It's that there's a right way to write or paint or code or design. And if any of this was true in any kind of meaningful way, we'd be seeing perfect and amazing things all the time with minimal effort. And that's clearly not the case. You can't turn lead into gold. The only people that benefit from turning lead into gold are the people selling you these formulas, the alchemists. So you see, this looks a whole lot like this. Now, if this sort of stuff provides you with structure and guidance, like certainty in an uncertain world, that's fine. I'm not saying that you have to reject them. Maybe they help you. That's great. And maybe they have a place on your map as you make your way through the world. Just don't put them on a pedestal. This is not how you make a game. Trust the people in your party before you trust an alchemist. Now, we can look at places like Pixar or Naughty Dog or Rockstar and wonder if maybe they do have a secret formula, because sometimes it seems like they do. But I bet if you asked the people that worked there what the secret formula was, they'd say that the whole thing is madness and uncertainty all the way to ship, and probably for a long time after. What I do think these places all have in common is passion and vision. So if you want a formula, here's one free of charge. Very simple. Strong vision and passion will help you achieve greatness. They don't guarantee it, but they're at least more likely to result in something that's evocative and interesting. And at the very, very least, you'll come away with something that you're proud of. And I think that's more important than anything else. So I've warned you away from alchemists, and I've warned you away from quicksand. Now I want to talk about one more danger, and that's the oracle. And when it comes to playing games, oracles are great. They're hint systems, quest trackers, it's the game facts board, it's a YouTube walkthrough. They can see the future, and they can help you on your way. They don't exist in the real world. People sharing their production experience may provide some additional perspective, but don't mistake this for prophecy or magic. They don't know everything. Sometimes they don't know anything. So be wary of anyone, no matter how talented or successful, claiming they can see the future. They're either lying, delusional, or looking to sell you something, and a lot of times it's all three. So be careful. So while no one can see the future, people can draw on experience and knowledge to anticipate challenges and offer solutions. These are the giants on whose shoulders we hopefully get a chance to stand. These people can be a calming force in the face of something unknown. And they can help you see a little further down the road. It's not supernatural powers that give them clarity of vision, but their experience. So talk to people who have been through all this before. Find out what challenges they encountered. Learn from their successes and learn from their failures. Just keep in mind that they can't tell you what to do either or how to do it. You can't just put a saddle on a giant and ride it to success. Only you can do that. Now I want to contradict myself just a little bit. Just because someone can't know the future doesn't mean they can't have a vision of it and a strong desire to see it realized. Some of the best creative directors I've ever worked with are the ones that can take me by the shoulders when I'm melting down, just like every day, and promise me they know exactly where they're going and what we're doing. I may not see it, the game may not show it, but it's there, and they swear by it. I just have to trust them. And I will say it's worked out more often than not. But they're not oracles either. They're just leaders. They're men and women of vision. And if you ever find one, hang on to them because they're very, very rare. So, accompanied by your party and forewarned of the dangers you're going to face, I'm going to give you one last piece of advice to help you on your way, which is really probably not going to be very practical advice, but nobody knows what they're doing, and that's okay. It's okay. Every time you set out to make a game, no matter how many times you've done this or work on a game, it's impossible to know what's going to come out the other end. Is it going to be fun? Is it going to be good? Will it be stable? Will it be relevant? There's no way to know. This is the fog I was talking about, the fog that you saw up on the giant shoulders. It's chaos. Don't concern yourself with trying to dispel the fog, though. Focus on navigating it. I think there's really only one question you should be asking yourself. Are you proud of what you're creating? Put more practically, are you happy with the work you're doing? Are you excited to come into work every day and give it your everything? Ideally, the answer is yes. Of course, this is, like everything else, very easy to say and very hard to do, but it doesn't make it any less true. And hey, maybe for some of you, Pride comes from validation, right? And you're at your happiest when others are pleased with your work. And that's fine, it's fine. But I'm gonna warn you, you can't know what people are gonna be happy with. And that's because what someone loves today, they might find boring tomorrow, right? And what someone hates today, they might recognize as incredible in the future. It's dangerous to try and anticipate. I think anticipate is a fancy word for guessing. Guessing is oracle business, and you know how I feel about oracles. You're better off finding something that gets you excited. Commit to that. That way, no matter what the future brings, you can and will take comfort in knowing that you made the thing you wanted to. Not the thing that you thought someone else might possibly want, but not really, because here's the other last thing. Nobody knows what they want until they have it. I have attended so many focus groups in my life, and this is how they always work. You get a bunch of people in the room, and you ask them what kind of game they want. They want the open world of Grand Theft Auto, with the RPG mechanics of a Bethesda game, and the cinematic fidelity of an Uncharted game. Oh, and they also want the shooting of a Call of Duty game, and the driving mechanics of a Forza game. And don't forget to add multiplayer, and maybe some MMO capabilities as well. So, great, that is fantastic. You can't make that game. I don't think you want to make that game. If you did somehow manage to make that thing, it's going to be a bloated, unwieldy disaster piece. It will excel at nothing and come up short compared to everything else. Also, it's probably going to be really, really buggy because good luck testing that. It's not going to happen. So don't ask other people what they want. Ask yourself what you want. This means you have to have courage. You need to have people you can rely on to support you, to share in the vision, to encourage you when things look dark, or when you're no longer certain if your idea is the right one, or even a good one. Surround yourself with people who believe in what you're doing and ditch the ones who don't. A circle of mutual respect and support creates an environment where great things are possible. So here I am saying games are hard, and no one knows what they're doing, and everything has the potential to be terrible, and you're surrounded on all sides by people criticizing and questioning you. But this is true of any adventure, of any creative endeavor, and it has been since the beginning of time. You have to be okay with that. Embrace the chaos. Don't fight it. Don't flee it. Walk into it and be okay with it. Let love of what you want to do shield you from the insanity. Find people you respect to weather the storm with you, and work on things that make you proud. This is how you guard against the goblins in the fog and make your way through it to the valley of future greatness. And even if the things in the fog do overwhelm you, you'll go down knowing you were fighting for something you believed in. The good news is failure will not kill you. It'll knock you down and you'll feel like crap, but you can get back up and try again. Keep at it, and in time you're going to reach that valley in the distance. You'll be a little bit stronger, a little bit wiser. So when you're out there this week, meeting new people, learning and sharing, commiserating and celebrating, remember that everyone is lost in the fog together. All we can do is reach out to each other, make the adventure a little bit easier, and hopefully a lot more fun. That's it.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Camino. My name is Sally Calloway, and I am a giant. First of all, I really want to thank Corey, who did an amazing job of describing how hard game development can be and how important it is to have those really precious people in your life that are supporting you and giving you, just helping you have that confidence to have that vision and really follow it. Thank you so much, Corey. I was very recently reflecting on how I've only lived in Melbourne for about a year now. I moved from Sydney very recently. A lot has happened in my life since I moved down here. So many amazing things have actually happened. I got a dream job doing like VR audio, which for me was like, whoa, that's the most incredible thing ever. At a little company called Zero Latency, who I really love. And oops, there goes my notes. Haha. I've actually also, by the end of the year, I would have spoken at about 10 different conferences in 3 different countries. That's quite a lot of work, and I've just absolutely loved all the opportunities that I've gotten. I've even managed to start a national network for Australian VR developers called the VRCC, also very recently.
they're all amazing things. I'm so proud of myself, and I have so many friends in my life that are also very proud of me as well. But I could not have done them alone. I have relied on the guidance and support from some of the most amazing people I have ever met. People like Kamina. No, it's a Kamina, happy Kamina. And also Tony Reid as well. I don't know where he is. Oh, he's right there! I don't know. Sorry, Tony. Like, she's got purple hair. Like, it really stands out. Okay. But regardless of whether I think about the things that I've done this year with the people that have supported me here in Melbourne, or whether I think about the things that I did about 2 years ago when I was living and studying and jamming in Sydney with people that I've seen this week, so John and Paul, or whether I think about the things that I did about 5 years ago when I was first starting out, when I was living, working, studying up in Brisbane, and I was supported by people like Guy Blomberg, and I worked with amazing people that also really, really helped support me, like Jeff Van Dyke and Mick Gordon as well. I have always stood on the shoulders of my giants, no matter where I've lived in Australia and no matter what I've tried to do. Oh my God. This GCAP, as delegates, you have the chance to find, learn from, meet and connect with your own giants. Now is your time to shine. So stand up, reach up and join your giants. Go and have fun or something, or at least send me cat gifs on Twitter. I really like that. That's all I've got. So thank you very much, everyone. Now you get to do your thing. So yeah, clap.